All right, we should have audio automatically. Yes. All right, audio is there. And we want to get the timer going. Give me just a second.
Hello, welcome to the stream. We will be doing reading sprints very soon. We're just finishing getting everything set up. And then we'll introduce ourselves and get going.
Yeah. All right, there we go. Timer going. All right. Finished. All right. Welcome to the stream. I am Traben of Traben's Tomes. I host a booktube channel. I recently put out a Can't Spell Treason Without T review today. But I review a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, horror, manga, graphic novels, that kind of thing.
Sound like Ollie.
Yeah, and and we do streams pretty much every weekend, either like productivity streams or in this case reading sprints, where we're just trying to get through some of our books because we are doing a TBR swap for the month of March.
March Madness.
And we really want to make sure that we get through as many of those titles as we can so that we can have a good wrap up at the end and talk about the things that we selected for each other. So,
and you're doing slightly better than me.
Yeah, but I mean, that's fine. You've read quite a few of the titles.
I have. I'm nervous that I still have 2 of the novels to go, so. But I read the last 2 novels I read, both The Demon King and when I read Finlay Donovan, I read fairly quickly.
Yeah, Finlay Donovan you got through fast.
I did. Well, I was motivated.
Well, get motivated to read the books from March Madness.
I am motivated for March Madness as well, since the month is over half over, so.
Okay. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Amanda. My channel is also a booktube channel entitled Amanda Should Be Reading. I haven't posted in a bit. I need to do that. I have an hour-long vlog that I worked way too hard on not to post, even though I don't think anyone is going to watch it. So if you like someone watching reading a bunch of comics and graphic novels and telling you about them for about an hour, check it out.
While we're on the subject of like checking stuff out, please like the video, leave comments, like increase engagement,
feed the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah, so we can grow our corner of the booktube community.
Feed the algorithm, the almighty algorithm.
I am also working on a vlog for spring break. We start on Saturday, and I think I'm up to Tuesday of like going through the footage and putting it together. So a lot of it is just clips of stuff we were doing. We had a very busy week.
We had a very busy week.
Yeah, and now I'm glad we
busier than I feel like some of our past spring breaks have been. This one's been pretty crazy.
Which is why I'm glad that we scheduled reading sprints for today, because it's a lot less. I don't know. Sometimes the productivity streams can still be a little bit stressful. I'm building a book nook, and sometimes I work on my journal, which is important. But sometimes it can feel more like work. This feels more like relaxing and just chilling and reading books. So
I think next time we do a productivity, I'm going to work on my diamond paint.
Okay. Yeah.
I realized that last night. After the sprint. I was like, oh, I should have done my diamond paint.
All right, well, you just got that in, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we're reading right now, and then we'll maybe read a mystery together, which is what we started on the last stream, and then we'll get started. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
You go ahead and go first.
Okay, so I will mostly be reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This is a collection of, as far as I can tell, 4 shorter stories that integrate into a larger narrative. It is one of the TBR swaps we did for this month, so Amanda has read it. And so far, there's something about the style that's not working for me, but I want to give it a shot. I want to get to the end and see if maybe the story will surprise me, or the story will do something to win me over. So
I do feel like the first story is not the strongest.
Okay.
I feel like it has a lot of ground to cover in terms of introducing you to all the characters and the rules and the cafe. And I feel like from there, even if they're repeating some of that, you aren't having to do that work of trying to be introduced to everyone.
Right.
So I feel like the first story was the girl and her boyfriend, right?
Who goes to America, yeah.
Okay. That's also just not the most, like...
It's not the most engaging.
What's the second one? Do you know yet?
The wife, the couple, husband and wife, where the husband has early onset Alzheimer's.
Oh, that one's so sweet and sad.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm enjoying it more than the first one.
Yeah.
I'm about 110 pages in, and it's about a 275 page book. So conceivably, within these sprints, I could break 200 maybe.
I think I know what the last two stories are, but I also read the second book.
At the same time?
No, but like, I have also read the second book. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not sure if the stories I'm thinking of are in that book or the second book. Yeah.
I also have Given in case I just need like a change
words.
Of pace. Or yeah, if I'm fading, it is after midnight here. So if I'm fading, if I need a little bit of a break, then I'll read this. This is about a band of boys, a boy band, if you will.
They're a rock band
who are also in love with each other.
Well,
not all of them at once. There are two couples.
There's two couples,
but they are in love with each other.
Well, and the second couple takes a while. Like, it's more of an unrequited thing at the beginning.
Yeah. All right. What are you going to be reading?
I'm finishing up Nights, which I started during our productivity stream, because a productivity stream could just be a reading sprint with a fancy name if you want it to be. So I didn't have a chance to read more of this yesterday. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to finish this one up. It is wild. I read a little bit more after we got off stream. I think I'm about halfway through it. Mm-hmm. I think I'm a little bit more than halfway through it.
Mm-hmm. That is one I had to read twice because the end the end is so insane that I had to be like, I don't know if I caught everything in this one. I need to go back and read it. So I read that one all the way through twice. And you said you were translating the foreign
Yes, I was translating all the German and the Spanish that I had in the last chapter. Although I could read a lot of the Spanish, surprisingly.
Does it help? Do you think that it adds anything? Because I didn't translate anything. I knew some of the Japanese, but
it helps me because it bothers me. Like, it's what you would expect. None of it has been like a deep dark secret. Like when she hits him with a skateboard, or when he hits her with a skateboard, she says like, "Oh, he has a really good arm."
Yeah. When you get toward the end, there are scenes that I definitely feel are going to be significantly different going and translating the text.
Maybe I'll read it the first time without it, and then I'll go back and read it with the translations.
Okay. Have you run across someone that looks like a conquistador?
No.
Okay. That's the part that I think is the translation would probably
change things,
do something. It strikes me as the beginning of The Thing, potentially. Like, I don't know what he's saying.
It looks like a dog, but it's not a dog.
Yeah.
Oh, you think he might give it away?
I think he might say.
Yeah, because like I was saying, everything I've read so far nothing has been like internal thoughts that contradict what they're saying. Mm-hmm. They've all been very clearly supporting the action. Like when the thing in Spanish threw her through the window is just saying like, "Wake up, stupid girl." Mm-hmm. It's not saying anything like meaningful, like I am the darkness that can only be killed with silver bullets or something. Like, it's just saying like, wake up, stupid girl.
And if you get through that one, because you don't have too much left.
Oh, right. I don't have much left. And so then I'm going to start on House of Frank, which is another book for my TBR swap and also one of my 25 for 25. This is our pretty special edition.
And I believe that was my book of the year.
This was your book of the year.
I think that was my number one book from last year.
Which is one of the reasons why it was on my 25 for 25.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's going to make me cry, because you said it made you cry, right?
Yes, I got emotional on that one. Yeah. But it deals with something very particular to me and like my family, so...
Well, like my family also went through that, honey.
Yeah, so...
My grandmother also had dementia.
Yeah.
So and then I have Kaiju Girl Caramelized, just in case this is like Same thing. If I get to
Yeah.
the end of a chapter, we only have like 10 minutes left, and I need something to read that's a little less heavy, I have this on standby just in case.
Okay. How is your 25 or 25 going, by the way?
Badly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've read 1.5 books. It's March.
Okay. I've burned through all the like easy ones. I've burned through a lot of the comics.
Mine has no comics. Mine's all novels. This was a bad idea.
Mm.
My if I'm going to do a TBR next month, I think it's going to be. I think what I'm going to have to do in general is to just try to do 25 for 25 book, other book, 25 for 25, and flip back and forth, which is kind of what I did with this one, where I inserted Finley Donovan in between my TBR swap ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to have to make it a really high priority to get through my 25 for 25 books to at least get to a point where it seems like I might even be able to do this.
Okay.
And I do have some shorter ones. There are a couple on the list that are a bit more approachable, but I don't want to blow through all of those and be left with nothing but the chonkers for the end.
Yeah. I've picked, like I said, I picked up a bunch of comics. I think I've done 7, but of those 7, I think only one is an actual book. I think the other 6 were comics.
I made
manga.
you a beautiful image to keep track of it. Have you not been keeping track of it?
I have not, but I should go. I did see that today when I was editing.
I made it so
the video.
beautiful for you.
Yeah, I will go and I'll edit that so I can give an update. Maybe I'll do an update like when summer hits or something. So it's like partway through the year. How am I doing?
Yeah. I was trying to do a vlog, and I need to do an update on the second one I was reading, and my idea was to do 5 vlogs, one for 5 books at a time, to kind of like give it a good chunk of content, but not like all 25 books. That would be insane. But we're in March, and I've read 1.5 books, so I am really hoping in April to get the first set of 5 out, the vlog out for that, and make a good chunk into the next one so that I can maybe get that one out in May, which would be 10 books, which would be really good. Is
watching TV with a linguist one you're just going to like go back to on occasion, or is that all back matter?
No, I'm over halfway. Like, it's not all back matter, but it is shorter than it looks.
But that's just one you're going to do like...
That's just one I need to finish. I've got that much left.
Okay.
So I'm a little over halfway. I'm on chapter... Oh... What's the deal with morphemes? 8 out of... Oh, this page. 13.
Okay.
So I just need to hunker down with it. It just... I probably just need to read 1 chapter of this and then read something else, unless I'm like really in the zone with it, because it was kind of weighing me down in some of the chapters, and it wasn't one that I was like excited to go back to. So I think if I just set myself up with like, okay, read a chapter of that and then go read something else for a while, I can make my way through it without stalling myself and setting myself into a reading slump.
Okay. Do you want to read a mystery from our death at Blockbuster?
All right, I got this at a really cool murder mystery bookshop in Houston called Murder by the Book.
Great store.
It's really cool, amazing little mystery shop. We did Death by Grunge tape.
We did.
So, we are on The Price is Wrong. Detective Wolf stood at the base of the neon-lit stage, the once bustling set of Spin and Win, now eerily silent except for the muffled boos from the adjacent studio's recording of the floundering Slime-O-Rama. Spin and Win, a tenured game show with its flashing lights, blaring theme music, and crowd chanting, "Gimme that money," claimed the coveted 11 a.m. slot, a sweet spot for kids homesick from school and old-timers. So this is Deal or No Deal. Or this is Price is Right.
Price is Right.
Price is Right. Host Chuck Van Dam lay lifeless in his iconic purple blazer, collapsed near the giant prize wheel. The contestants and crew stood frozen in shock. Detective Wolf removed his aviators, squinting, perhaps from the crackling halogens, or maybe from the garish patterns of the contestants' windbreakers. "Everyone stay put," he commanded, stepping toward the body. "He was spinning the wheel and just dropped," explained the show's producer, nervously adjusting her slap bracelet. Wolf surveyed the scene. Chuck's once charming, ruddy face was now contorted and stiff. The detective noted the man's hands, adorned with a gold signet ring of the show's logo. The microphone he'd held for decades had rolled to the side, leaving a sticky greenish stain in its path. The detective leaned in, smelling a familiar, spicy scent. Big red gum. Chuck was an old-school host, always chewed gum between segments, Wolf murmured. But that powder, it's not sugar. It's poison. The contestants gasped with such commitment. Wolf's eyes darted to see if the cameras were still rolling. There's a lot of money on this stage, but the price for murder is highest. What does Detective Wolf think happened?
All right, and we'll come back in 45 minutes. We'll have some time to ruminate on that.
Have some time.
Oh,
it's called The Price is Wrong.
It was called The Price is Wrong. I wasn't going to say anything. Again, if you are watching the VOD, if you're watching afterwards, let us know what you're reading. How's it going? We'll be back in 45 minutes, and we'll give you kind of a wrap-up of what we've read, and we'll try to figure out this mystery. we're back. Gotta find where we are on the audio. Here we go. We get the timer going, and we'll chat about what we read. Well, we'll solve the mystery first, although, I don't know. I'm having I was thinking about it on and off, and I don't know. I thought of one thing. So you want to read it again? Do you want to read just like the evidence bits, so we can try to solve this mystery?
Well, first I will say, for anyone who was interested in this book is called Murder Rewind: Death at Blockbuster. Minute mystery set in the 1990s. So anyone who was like, oh, what are these random mysteries they're doing? I wanted to make sure to credit the book. So you want me to read the whole thing again?
No, like we were trying to solve a mystery about basically The Price is Right.
The Price is Right, yeah. Spin and win.
The host died. He was right next to what? What was playing in the other studio?
Slime-O-Rama.
And they said there was something green.
Yeah.
Slimy on it. So I feel like...
I can read it again. It takes like a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Detective Wolf stood at the base of the neon-lit stage, the once bustling set of Spin and Win, now eerily silent except for the muffled boos from the adjacent studio's recording of the floundering Slime-O-Rama. Spin and Win, a tenured game show with its flashing lights, blaring theme music, and crowd chanting, "Gimme that money!" claimed the coveted 11 a.m. spot, a sweet spot for kids homesick from school and old-timers. Host Chuck Van Dam lay lifeless in his iconic purple blazer, collapsed near the giant prize wheel. The contestants and crew stood frozen in shock. Detective Wolf removed his aviators, squinting, perhaps from the crackling halogens, or maybe from the garish patterns of the contestants' windbreakers. "Everyone stay put," he commanded, stepping toward the body. "He was spinning the wheel and just dropped," explained the show's producer, nervously adjusting her slap bracelet. Wolf surveyed the scene. Chuck's once charming, ruddy face was now contorted and stiff. The detective noted the man's hands, adorned with a gold signet ring of the show's logo. The microphone he'd held for decades rolled to the side, leaving a sticky, greenish stain in its path. The detective leaned in, smelling a familiar, spicy scent. Big red gum. Chuck was an old-school host. "Always chewed gum between segments," Wolf murmured. "But that powder, it's not sugar, it's poison." The contestants gasped with such commitment, Wolf's eyes darted to see if the cameras were still rolling. "There's a lot of money on this stage, but the price for murder is highest."
Yeah, so I think the host of the other show poisoned him, because that show's not doing well.
You think they want their time slot?
Yeah, I think they want the time slot, and they killed him. I think the slime is a clue, and also I think they probably share like a break room or something. I would think there's some sort of commonality where he could get to his gum, and he knows he always chews it.
Well, and my other thought was, if you always chew gum between segments, what do you do with the gum in between?
Okay. I don't know.
I don't either.
He leaves it somewhere and it got poisoned.
Well, I was trying to think, like, what do people do with gum other than, like, put it in a wrapper?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't really think of anything.
Well, do you have anything to add to my random sleuthing?
No, I definitely feel like the green stain from the microphone implies something, but, like, if the gum was poisoned, why was there slime on the microphone?
Okay. I don't know.
Is my only thought. Should I check the clues?
Yeah, go ahead and check the clues.
Chuck Van Dam, a popular game show host, was poisoned.
Mm-hmm.
There are sounds of another show recording on the next stage. The show was a long-standing fan favorite. He dropped dead in front of contestants and crew. He wore a signet ring. There was a green substance left by the microphone. The murderer knew Chuck liked to chew gum and had access to him between sets.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I definitely think that last clue is keying us in on the guy with the other show did it.
Yeah.
So, unless it's a slap bracelet girl.
I don't think it's a slap bracelet girl. I definitely think the green slime points very clearly to the host of the other show.
Yeah.
But I don't know how the slime got on the microphone.
I don't know either. Do you guys go? Like, do you have anything else to add? Should we just go ahead and read it?
Yeah, we can just read it.
Okay, let's read it. Remember, some things are red herrings.
The game show host was an unstoppable force, having hosted his show for many decades. His flashy suit and signet ring indicated someone who confidently held the game show throne. The murderer knew Chuck chewed gum and took advantage of breaks between segments to plant a poisoned piece of gum where Chuck would find it. Okay, so I guess he just chewed the piece, then spit it out.
Mm-hmm.
It was the host of Slime-O-Rama, the failing game show on the adjacent soundstage. The murderer carelessly left traces of slime on Chuck's microphone as he rushed to plant the poison. Again, I'm not sure how that makes any sense, but the book doesn't bother to explain it. So...
Yeah, so, I mean, again, I feel like this is kind of a loosey-goosey whodunit, where there are, like, some things that matter and some things that don't.
And then we're not going to bother explaining how slime got on the microphone, but it did. Because, like, my thought was, what if a way to make this, like, way more crack the casey, if you had to find something, would be, like, if he had a habit of sticking his gum on his, like, the bottom of his microphone, or, like, in a place in his microphone while he filmed.
I understand, but that's, like, way too much supposition for the minute.
I know, that's why I'm saying if it were more like crack the case and you could ask questions.
Yeah,
if you had to ask questions to get to the details. Like, if this was a crack the case, I would have asked, like, is what he does with his gum between sets important?
Right.
And for the answer to this, the answer is no. Not for solving the mystery.
No. All right.
We might do another one. We'll see.
Yeah. Toward the end of our time, we'll see how long recaps take. So I will say I finished story 2 and I'm on story 3.
How did you like story 2? Story 2
was good. It was a little sad. I didn't find it like devastating.
No, but it was like also sweet. Like,
it was very sweet, and it was definitely had that like bittersweet feel to it. I liked it a lot more than the first one. And I think that they're doing something interesting with the third story, because so far it's been like someone wants to go. So I don't know if we talked about like the premise of this book.
I don't think we did.
Is that there's a coffee shop where you can go back in time. There's a lot of other rules.
Yeah.
But basically there's a coffee shop where you can go back in time and you have to...
For a very short window of time.
Yeah, you have to get back before the coffee gets cold, hence the name.
And you can only travel to that same coffee shop.
Yeah, we don't need to cover all the rules.
That's all I'm covering.
But so far it's just been people in the present like wanting to go back and talk to someone in the past. And this third story started off with someone shows up in that seat that our characters don't know.
Oh, that's the one in this book.
And they're having to. They're like, oh, who are you? They know the gimmick. They know the trick. They know the time travel.
The teenage girl.
Yeah. So they're like, oh, who are you looking for? And she's like being very evasive, but she's clearly from the future because she has a camera that's the size of like a business card. So it's like, I think the problem that this book is going to run into is maintaining that novelty over so many books, because there's...
Well, and I don't feel like it tries to capture novelty. I forgot that story was in this book. I thought that came later, but that wouldn't make sense to come later. It had to come here. I feel like it isn't trying to be novel all the time. It's trying to tell a story focused on... It's trying to tell very character-driven stories about two people and their relationships. And that's what it's trying to do in each segment.
Right.
I don't feel like it's trying to be novel and break the rules.
Well, I don't need to. They don't need to break the rules, but like I'm only going to read so many stories of X person wants to go back in time to see another person and send them a message.
Oh no, I'll read a bunch of those.
Okay, well, yeah, I need something. I like the different perspective that this next one is giving us. So, again, I don't know if I want to read like the whole series, but these last two have been better. These last two have been Better than the first.
Well, I think you'll like the fourth story then as well, because it does do things.
Yeah.
I can only apparently remember one of the stories from the second book. I feel like if I flipped through it, I would remember more of them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I remember kind of what the overarching thing in the second book is as well.
Yeah. Another call out to our rather small audience. If you want to share with us what you're reading in the comments, we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, right. And someone in the comments asked what my favorite books were, and then I immediately forgot every book I've ever read in my life.
Uh-huh.
So let me check Goodreads and see what some books I like are. Because Eric was like, I was asked what your favorite books are, and I was like, oh, I don't know. Oh, that's want to read. That's not what I want. By star rating.
Yeah, I also unfortunately made the decision to not quite have both of these up at the same time, and so for whatever reason the comment didn't go on to the chat where I can see it over here, so I kind of missed it, and I feel bad about that.
I really like The Neverending Story.
Yeah.
Oh, these are all good books. I like the Earthsea series by Ursula Le Guin.
You liked what you read of Witch Hat, didn't you?
Yes, I liked Witch Hat, but I was looking for more like not manga.
Oh, gotta give them everything. I'll throw in Dresden Files for me. A lot of Sanderson stuff, particularly Mistborn. I really liked Mistborn, the first era one. I really enjoyed How to Solve Your Own Murder from last year. That was a really good one. And I also liked Emily Wilde. I know I put that in for you, but I also enjoyed that one quite a bit. And I've read the second book. So,
some books that could not be more different from each other. I really liked This Is How You Lose the Time War. I liked Scary Stories for Young Foxes. And I liked, what was the one I just saw? Oh, The Mysterious Society for Lady Scoundrels.
That's one I need to read.
Those books, I would like to own it because I gave it 5 stars, but I listened to it on audio, so I don't own it.
Okay.
But I would like to own it because I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what you're reading real quick?
Oh, sure. I'm still plugging away. Why is this taking so long to read?
I don't know.
Like, I feel like I should be done, but I feel like I'll probably finish this next sprint. I read more of this nonsense. I don't know why it's so slow, but I read comics a lot slower than you because I take in a lot more of the art and like look at a lot more of the details.
Yeah.
Like, did you notice that Matt had a Lum figure on his desk?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. I was trying to prove a point. You're supposed to say no.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, like, there's just like a lot of like, I like to look at a lot of details and take stuff in. There wasn't even that much to translate, so I can't blame that on slowing me down.
So what is happening now?
Matt was at a support group meeting.
Uh-huh.
Ivory was on a date with Molly that ended abruptly.
Mm-hmm. I'll say
Vince was out with Gray, who was burning letters, and then they fell into the ground and were going through a cave.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Okay.
And now we're at whatever happens after all that.
Okay.
Because I just finished a chapter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just started episode 5.
Okay, I think is that the last one?
Maybe, I don't know.
Is 5 the last one, or is there 6 in there?
I don't know. So, it looks like maybe the last one. There's not that much left, so.
Oh boy.
This is where it gets worse.
This is it. This is it. Yeah, it's gonna get even crazier.
So yeah, if I do or don't finish this on the stream, I'll probably finish it up tonight and start House of Frank because I want to get it started tonight.
I'd like to finish this tonight, but realistically, like we've got to wrap presents. So yes. We'll see.
We do have to wrap presents.
So, well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. 30 seconds. Let's read another mystery and go over time, but then have a mystery to go into the next streams with.
Okay.
Next sprints with.
This one is called Zoot Suit Riot. Detective Wolf thumbed his sharp jawline as he stood over the broken and bruised body of Johnny the Cat Martinez. Johnny, renowned trumpeter and playboy of the swing dance scene, was sprawled out on the dance floor of neon-lit Jitterbug Lounge. This New Year's Eve celebration was not off to a great start. Trampled, unbelievable, muttered the medic. Looks like a shoe print on his neck. I get these swing parties are wild, but this is a bit much. The medic balanced an evidence marker on top of the victim's empty breast pocket while he quickly jotted down time of death, 12:17 a.m. Wolf knelt down and scanned the scene. The victim's canary yellow suit was pristinely pressed, his paisley socks tucked into two-toned patent leather shoes, perfect for sliding across a dance floor. The victim's watch face was broken, while the bracelet on his opposite wrist was burrowed into the skin. Detective Wolf poked the victim's fedora with the tip of his pen. The fire alarm went off at the ball drop. The cherry poppin' daddies were just about to come on, said the trumpeter. It was total chaos. Everyone pushed their way out, and Johnny must have gotten crushed, chimed in the saxophonist, who was biting nervously on a reed. We loved Johnny. This is terrible. The manager of the lounge wiped his forehead with a paisley handkerchief. A lounge waitress sat in the corner, sniffing as she wiped her mascara stains. There was no one better than Johnny. He practically owned this club. Detective Bush shook his head. This was no accident. I'm looking at the two people who murdered him right now.
Okay, so we gotta find out who's the two
How
people.
does Detective Wolf know this wasn't an accident, and who are the murderers?
Okay. Yeah, I'll mull that over as we read.
I picked up on one clue.
I think I got one idea. I think I got one idea brewing. So we'll come back in 45 minutes. Let me switch over.
Enjoy your reading.
Yes. Okay. Hope everybody had a good reading sprint. I guess before we get back into the murder mystery, let's talk about upcoming. There we go. Upcoming streams. So, scheduled for the next 2 Saturdays, just reading sprints, probably around the same time, midnight. That's kind of our thing. We're doing reading sprints for the rest of the month because of the TBR swap. Really want to make sure that we get through these books. So we normally alternate between this and productivity streams. Productivity streams can still be reading sprints, but I just wanted to have the chill vibes for the rest of the month, going into what?
It's our birthright to be shirtless and free.
Sure.
Just wanted to share that. Sorry.
Sure. So yeah, just wanted to have chill vibes for the rest of the month. Again, put down in the comments, what are you reading? How's your sprint going? What were you able to get through? I didn't quite get up to page 100. I thought I would be close. I'm currently on, I think, 91. Oh, sorry. I thought I was going to get up to 200. I'm on 190. But this story ends at 211, so I'm definitely going to finish this before I go to bed tonight. Third story is really good. That opening bit was very interesting. But we've gotten into like the main thrust of the story. And it's interesting that it does call back to something earlier in the book.
So what's the main thrust?
It's the sisters. The sister who keeps visiting her about taking over the inn.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
That's the one I thought it was. Okay, I'm not crazy.
No, but the very beginning of it,
I had forgotten that happened at the beginning of the story.
Yeah, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah,
so,
no, it very much is. It very much makes you go, what?
Yeah. And then, but it's tying into something that came before. Another interesting wrinkle in the way the stories are being told, because we're now going to see something we've already seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like the last couple of times they've gone back like years to a certain point that they needed to go to, and this one they're going to go back to a point that we've already seen within the book.
Yeah.
So that's another interesting wrinkle. Like I said, I think I'm on board until they become like really predictable, kind of stuck in a rut, which I could totally see happening with this. It's hard to do time travel. It's hard to do unique time travel stories.
Well, and like I said, I don't feel like they're trying to be unique. I think they're trying to tell different human stories, like different relationships, and really like condense down unique relationships and like tell those stories.
Yeah.
And then there are, like in this one, the overarching thing that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a thing in the second book as well that kind of covers an overarching thing in the second book of like the cafe.
Okay.
So like there's always like the story of what's going on in the cafe that kind of ties into all four stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then each of the individual stories are kind of more self-contained.
What did you think about Knights?
It was weird.
Yeah.
And then it was different weird. It's very strange.
Yeah. Did you like it? I guess is the question. Did you enjoy it? Was it a good choice that I gave you?
Like, man, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it's definitely weird and interesting. I just feel like maybe this is one. I feel like this is one that might be be like Something is Killing the Children.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the first volume of Something is Killing the Children was good, but in the second volume where we got more lore
mm-hmm.
and like we got more like backstory and lore, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if this one will be like that, where this one like threw so much out there without any explanations, and it starts so many ideas but doesn't really finish any of them.
And I find that really, I don't know, I find that really hit or miss, because a lot of stories will do this where they try to tell you the story in a way that's not being obtrusive or having the like maid and butler kind of situation.
And like this one, like I'm sure this was written with trade in mind, because I'm sure the individual volumes aren't telling you anything. But even as a trade, this is kind of a mess. Not a mess, but this is a lot as a mess. This is a lot as a standalone.
Okay.
Like, it's not a complete story. No one has an arc. Everybody ends in mid-peril. So that's also a way it's kind of like Something is Killing the Children. Although I feel like the end of the very first volume of Something is Killing the Children ends on a like yes but, because she wins, but knows there's more she has to do.
Right.
So it ends on this is what is happening in this town. But oh, now there's another problem we have to solve in volume 2. So I feel like it had that like boom.
Yeah, if you read it as the like special, like not the deluxe edition books where it has the entire arc, because it's two or three of the graphic novels.
I thought it was 3, but it might be 2. I don't know.
I can't remember. It's 2 or 3 of the graphic novels together. That gives you like the entire story in this town. Yeah. Which is, I think, the most satisfying way to read it.
And this feels similar to that, except instead of ending on a like yes but, I don't feel like we ended on any kind of, we're just still doing this.
Yeah.
So this is one of those that I feel like will be potentially more satisfying to read back to back.
Yeah. It's interesting that you mentioned that, because that is something that I've been railing against in a lot of my reviews lately, and I brought it up in the Can't Spell Treason Without Tea review as well, that I'm really frustrated with the tendency of books, modern day books that are part of duologies or are serialized, they have multiple entries, not telling you a complete story.
And I feel like it's more egregious with a novel, because you do expect, when you buy a book, you expect this to tell a story.
It's also, I think, partially for me, it's also like time investment.
Yeah, you're going to spend hours with this.
I read your book for like 6 hours. The least you could do is make something satisfying at the end. I can blow through nights in like hour and a half.
Yeah, I think it took me longer, but yeah. I'm a slow reader at the moment. But like, this is more forgiving, because like, this is how comic book companies package comics. It may not be the author's intention that you read it this way at all. They may be like, well, this is a 10-part story, and you should, I think that might be why it's called Season 1, Part 1, is to warn you that this is very much
incomplete.
This is not Season 1. This is Season 1, Part 1. Yeah. And I feel like that might be there to kind of warn you that you're not getting a full story. Yeah. But you're not even getting a half story.
Yeah. But the thing I'm wondering is, I really liked Nights.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot, and part of that is that refusal to explain, and like the fact that there were so many mysteries in it that they weren't telling me, that I'm like interested in moving forward. And I don't know, with a lot of the novels, I feel like it's less like, so you're saying like everything's still up in the air. I feel like with a lot of the novels I'm reading, it's less like the story couldn't be contained in one book, because they had a lot of like threads going and like mysteries built up, and more just like they wrote 1,000-page book and no one would print that, and so they had to split it up into
like Dark Lord.
Yeah.
Did you feel Treason was like that?
No, because Can't Spell Treason Without Tea does conclude one of the major conflicts, and then makes progress on a secondary problem, and so you know where the next book's going to go.
Okay,
but you can,
like Finley Donovan does.
Yeah, but you can read it and be like, okay, I don't want to do any more of this, but I got a satisfying story.
Okay,
they did XYZ. So yeah, it was kind of this middle ground. The thing I'm running into, I think, with at least two of the duologies I've read lately is like book 1 was like set up for apocalyptic book 2, and then apocalyptic book 2, by the end of it, things are so wildly different that book 1 seems irrelevant.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that with some series.
And I don't get that sense from Knights. I get the sense that it's always been crazy and like batshit.
That was my issue with the second Finley Donovan book.
Okay.
I felt like the first one tells a story and then at the very end goes, oh shit, here's the thing for the next book.
Right.
The second one I felt told most of a story, but those like, oh yeah, that thing we didn't figure out, that's the next book.
Yeah.
And that was really annoying. But I feel like the third book finished that thread, and now we've moved on to another problem in the fourth book, and then at the end of the fourth book we'll move on to another problem for the fifth book.
So I think what it is Knights is not just giving me an incomplete story. It's seeding a lot of mystery to it by withholding information.
Yeah, because there's that time skip and a lot happened in that 5 years.
Yeah.
And it's withholding things because we don't know what happened in that 5 years. The characters know.
And but for me that's engaging.
And
like,
I think
I like trying to work out what happened.
It's kind of funny because there is a slight sense of, as you know, bobbing in the first bit before the time skip. Because they're like, wow, don't you think it's weird for Ghost to just like have 25 years to solve their nonsense? Yeah, man, I bet everyone wonders how they died. Like, they have to like talk about this stuff that they both are clearly aware of.
Right.
In order to make it make sense. And they kind of get away with it because Vince hasn't seen this kind of stuff before. Yeah. He's aware of it, but he hasn't really seen it. So you have to do like, it's jogging, like there's just no big deal. What else are they supposed to do? Ghosts have 25 years to solve their unfinished business, or else they just fade away. They gotta blow off some steam somehow, poor fellas. Like, that's a very like on the nose dialogue at the beginning, because it has to establish the things in the world that there's no easy way to tell you other than in like a dialogue box.
Right. It
has to get those things out so that the rest of the story works. So it front loads all that stuff. It front loads like, this is the vampire. This is the only one who lives in this area. This is our vampire. Vince has never seen a vampire. There's only one in the area. So yeah, I feel like it front loads a lot of stuff because, and like I said, I do feel like it had a little bit of as you know Bob dialogue in order to set that world. But then as soon as the 5 years later jump starts, it's like, nope, we're not even going to tell you a goddamn thing.
But okay, I guess again the question is, did you like it? How are you gonna rate it?
I think so.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna give it a 4, but this one is the opposite of, if the next volume is of How to Become the Dark Lord. If the second volume isn't good, I could see this going down. If the second volume doesn't like build on the mysteries of this thing or is not satisfying, then this would be a 3. Because this doesn't work without another part. So if the next part isn't good, this doesn't stand alone.
Okay.
This is currently getting a 4 on intrigue. But if the resolutions aren't satisfying, this does not deserve a 4 to stand on its own because it doesn't go anywhere.
Okay.
So this is a 4 that could be demoted to a 3. I don't think it's a 5. But this is a 4 that could be demoted to a 3 if the follow-up is not strong.
I think I gave it 5. But
I'm sure you did.
I like that weird stuff.
I like the weird stuff too, and there's a lot in here I'm really interested in. I'm really interested in Matt's character. Ivory is very interesting. I wasn't really interested in him until closer to the end, and I was more like, oh, what's going on here? How did that happen? Because when it was just like, oh, Ivory kills people,
Mm-hmm.
He's a contract killer or whatever. I wasn't really that interested.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also really interested because they never bring it up, but Tanner, Marcus, and Keisha were part of that, like, Sunshine Boys gang
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning that, like, was boosting small engines and stuff. This, like, gang of small children. The three of them were in that gang.
Mm-hmm.
And we never bring that up again. And I'm like, did we just have them be part of that gang so that they could be at a scene where Ivory showed up?
Mm-hmm.
But that's weird. You didn't need to do that. They didn't need to be in the part 5 years later, and you have to be paying attention to even notice that it's them.
Yeah.
Only Tanner is called out by name, and I only noticed it because Tanner's a weird name.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that could come up in the next book.
Yeah, so I'm interested in seeing if that ties in, like, what happened to the Sunshine Boys. Like, is that responsible for how they met Vince? Like, I'm interested in seeing, like, does that matter?
Mm-hmm.
Because it has not been brought up at all. And I was just like, that's such a weird detail to include in your first chapter and then never mention again.
All right, want to do murder mystery?
Oh, to solve our mystery?
Yeah, let's solve a mystery, and then we can call it a night because we have other things that we have to do, and it's 2:30 in the morning.
Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. Books, woo! All right, so we have the Zoot Suit guy.
Can't actually rewrite history though. It's one
I
of
can't.
those.
It's a rule.
All right. Do you want to reread Zoot Suit?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
Detective Wolf thumbed his sharp jawline as he strode over the broken and bruised body of Johnny the Cat Martinez. Johnny, renowned trumpeter and playboy of the swing dance scene, was sprawled out on the dance floor of neon-lit Jitterbug Lounge. This New Year's Eve celebration was not off to a good start. Trampled. Unbelievable, muttered the medic. Looks like a shoe print on his neck. I get these swing parties are wild, but this is a bit much. The medic balanced an evidence marker on top of the victim's empty breast pocket. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that. While he quickly jotted down, time of death, 12:17 a.m. Wolf knelt down and scanned the scene. The victim's canary yellow suit was pristinely pressed, his paisley socks tucked into two-toned patent leather shoes, perfect for sliding across a dance floor. The victim's watch face was broken, while the bracelet on his opposite wrist was burrowed into the skin. Detective Wolf poked at the victim's fedora with the tip of his pen. The fire alarm went off at the ball drop. The cherry poppin' daddies were just about to come on, said the trumpeter. It was total chaos. Everyone pushed their way out, and Johnny must have gotten crushed, chimed in the saxophonist, who was biting nervously on a reed. We loved Johnny. This is just terrible. The manager of the lounge wiped his forehead with a paisley handkerchief. A lounge waitress sat in the corner, sniffing as she wiped away her mascara stains. There was no one better than Johnny. He practically owned this club. Detective Wolf shook his head. This was no accident. I'm looking at the two people who murdered him right now.
All right, so we sussed out that the manager's definitely involved.
Because yeah, his breast pocket is empty,
and
the paisley handkerchief matches his paisley socks.
Mm.
And a man this pristinely dressed would not be out without a handkerchief in his pocket.
Of course.
I just had a thought. Along the same lines, he's like dressed to the nines. What if it's an allergy bracelet? Like, what bracelet would this guy be wearing?
I don't know.
That seems weird, right?
It does. So
I'm wondering if it's a medical alert bracelet.
I don't know. That might be a jump. What were the other people doing? One was chewing on a reed.
He's the saxophonist who's chewing on the reed of his saxophone.
Okay.
You have reeds in your. That's your mouthpiece.
And then the waitress has
wind
mascara.
Instruments, you have to change your reed. Brass instruments, you just have the metal mouthpiece.
And the waitress has mascara.
Yeah, because she's been crying.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the time of death is wrong if he was trampled when the fire alarm went off.
Mm-hmm.
Because they said the fire alarm went off at the ball drop, which would mean right at 12.
Yeah, but
his time of death wasn't until 12:17.
Yeah. Someone stepped on his neck.
Yeah, they definitely stepped on his neck.
Mm-hmm. And then what? Like
there's a shoe print on his neck.
Does anyone else? Did they mention anybody else's shoes?
Do you think they used mascara on the shoe to like make a shoe print on his neck? I don't know. That would be a jump.
That'd be a jump. Do you want to read the clues?
Sure. So we don't spend forever.
Oh yeah.
Sussing out what we think
has occurred.
When it's probably not nearly as detailed as we'll want it to be. Popular trumpeter and playboy Johnny the Cat Martinez was killed on New Year's Eve. There was a fire alarm during the ball drop and a mass panic. The medic noted a shoe print on the victim's neck, suggesting he was trampled. The medic placed an evidence marker on Johnny's empty breast pocket as he wrote down the time of death, 12/17. The victim was wearing a fedora, a canary yellow suit, paisley socks, two-toned patent leather shoes, a watch, broken, and a bracelet burrowed into the skin. A trumpeter, saxophonist, manager dabbing his forehead, and lounge singer wiping away tears gave their stories.
A trumpeter did?
Yeah, he's the first guy.
What did he say?
The fire alarm went off at the ball drop. The cherry poppin' daddies were just about to come on.
Okay. Doesn't help.
No, but like the...
So someone else pulled the fire alarm, I imagine, is supposed to be...
Well, I would assume if it's two people, I would assume it's the manager and the waitress.
Okay.
Because, like... Who else would be working together?
We know the manager for sure. I don't know who the other one is, and I can't figure it out from the story.
My guess is the waitress, and I'm gonna guess the stupid idea that it has something to do with her mascara.
What is it? Okay, read the part about her mascara again.
It just says she's wiping away mascara stains.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and read us the solution. And we'll call it a night.
Okay. Johnny was a trumpeter and playboy who practically owned this club, meaning he was a target. The trumpeter and the manager had the most to gain from Johnny's death. Oh, okay.
Sure.
The trumpeter for the top spot in the band, and the manager for the competition for most important guy in the joint. Detective Wolf knew he wasn't trampled by the crowd because the time of death was 17 minutes after the midnight fire alarm, and Johnny's suit was still perfectly pressed. He had marks on his wrist suggesting he was held down by one person and suffocated by another person's foot as they stood above him. Johnny wore paisley socks and had an empty breast pocket, but the manager wiped his forehead with a paisley handkerchief, or Johnny's pocket square. So the only way we were supposed to know was the trumpeter is because he had something to gain?
They played the same instrument.
Wow. No. That's not deduction.
You can't convict someone on that evidence.
That's not deduction.
The fact that the dude had his handkerchief is not even like...
Well, I'll give the handkerchief because, like, if it matches and he's missing one, like, that's, like, why do you have that? I feel like that's pretty... That's a link to the body.
That's a link to the body. You could not convict anybody on that.
I don't know. I feel like you might be able to.
Anyway. Well,
but the trumpeter, so the only there was nothing pointing to the trumpeter.
Yeah, he played the trumpet.
Other than that, they had the same role. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah. That's
not a good mystery. Disappointed.
Okay.
Disappoint.
I hope you enjoyed.
Detective Wolf is psychic.
I hope you enjoyed coming out and reading with us for a few hours. I had fun. And got some good reading done. So that's the whole goal. As always, I hope your reading journey is going well. I hope that you are balancing your reading time with your work time. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed coming by and hanging out with us today. Amanda, do you have anything to add?
No.
Cool.
You do this to me every stream.
So you'd think you'd have something to say.
Wow, so it's my fault.
I mean... All right.
This is what I have to add. Ooh.
Insightful.
I'm balancing books.
It's hauntingly beautiful.
Thanks.
As always, please like, comment, subscribe to help us grow this corner of our BookTube community. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you next week, hopefully. Until then, take care.